Have you unknowingly been fooled by a gardening myth or wives' tale? Have you been given some garden advice or common knowledge that could actually be hurting your garden? In this video, I'm going to bust some of the most common gardening myths or wives' tales or common knowledge that's actually just misinformation that I always see floating around online or in my comments section. Because some of these are so common, I guarantee some of you are getting held back by accidentally believing in these. So if you want to be a better gardener, well, consider giving this video a green thumbs up. But otherwise, sit back, hit that full screen button, and let's dig in. One of the issues gardening has as a hobby or lifestyle is that for decades and decades, or probably more so millennia, the only way to learn was from someone else. And sometimes those people that we've learned from might have picked up bad habits, or they've learned something from someone else that doesn't actually hold up to scientific scrutiny. And so gardening, and especially now that it's moved online, is just so jam-packed with so much misinformation or false advice or things that people say you should do but actually hurt your garden. So let's jump straight into the first one. The first one is that you need to or should water your garden every day. But this will actually hurt your garden in more ways than one. The first thing we need to understand is that to get big, vibrant, healthy plants, we need them to develop deep, strong root structures below the soil. And what happens if we're coming out and watering every day, and usually only a superficial amount of water, is that the plant learns that all of the water that it's ever going to need is in those first couple layers of soil, and it's never forced to actually shoot its roots properly digging down to where they actually need to be able to grab whatever nutrients and water out of the soil that it needs at any given time. Shallower roots will make the plant weaker. It'll be able to produce and store less sugars and energy, which in the long run means less fruit or roots or stems or leaves or whatever part of the plant that we're actually trying to cultivate it for. But not only can watering too much prevent a big, strong, healthy, vigorous plant, it can actually do some genuine damage. It makes problems like root rot or being susceptible to pathogens much more likely. And the other thing is that it's really, really bad for our soil's microbiome. This is because the different microbes that live in our soil, the different bacteria and fungus and everything else, they actually live in water, but they breathe air. And if your soil, especially around your plant's roots, is staying too wet too much, the microbes die and move away. And microbes actually help bring nutrients to your plant. Your plant wants microbes living on its roots. Most plants actually secrete starches out of their roots to help encourage the microbes to live on their roots. And if you're constantly keeping them wet, you're completely throwing away all of that plant's hard work. The next myth is probably my biggest pet peeve, and that's thinking that organic means chemical free. And I have nothing against organic. In fact, I garden 100% organically. It's just that a lot of people really misunderstand the term. A lot of people think that organic means there's no pesticides or herbicides used, when in fact there's definitely organic pesticides, herbicides, chemical fertilizers that you can get. Organic essentially just means that when we're using chemicals in the garden, they're in their natural form. For example, if I want to add some nitrogen-rich fertilizer to my soil, I'm getting something like a liquid fish fertilizer or a seaweed fertilizer and using that, as opposed to something like ammonium nitrate that's been developed in a lab, which is completely harmless and completely safe. I mostly do organic because I really enjoy the old school way of gardening, and I think that it's a great way to help close the loop of your yard a bit, where I'm composting a lot more and trying to make a lot more of my own fertilizer as opposed to just buying stuff all the time. But yeah, nothing can be chemical free because everything is made up of chemicals. It's just a way of describing the world. But what that does mean is that if you do want to garden completely organically and you're running into problems with weeds or pests, there are organic options of pesticides and herbicides for you. The next one I see all the time, especially on TikTok, and that's using coffee grounds everywhere, especially as a mulch on top of your beds, usually as a pest deterrent. And there's two main problems with this, but listen, I get it. I make home espresso and pour over coffee. I end up with so many spent coffee grounds that I understand trying to look for a solution to do something with them. I will give you something that you can do with them that will help your garden. But the two problems that it will cause you in your garden is, one, coffee grounds are actually really acidic, and you will start to slowly increase the acidity of your soil Probably actually pretty quickly to the point where it starts to become a bit of an issue. And you might say that's fine, I'll just put it in one of my garden beds that loves acidic soil, such as these blueberries, which do in fact require an acidic soil. But the second problem is that spent coffee grounds do still contain a decent amount of caffeine, and caffeine is actually a growth suppressant when it comes to plants. So adding coffee grounds to the soil will chemically suppress the growth of any plants growing in it. So two things you could or should do instead. One, just put it through the compost first and let it mature well. You're diluting the amount of coffee that's going into your garden, but also the process of maturing it will help break down some of that acidity. And if you're really pedantic, just pH test your compost before you're putting it on the garden. And then if it's too acidic, you can add some lime to it. The other thing that you can do is, if you like mushrooms, coffee grounds are like the best growing substrate for mushrooms. So that's something that you can definitely look into. The next one is thinking that when a plant is done, like this broccoli is, that you need to actually dig out the roots and all of the root ball below it. But what we have really discovered in the last couple decades is that that's not the best thing for your soil. As we're learning more and more about how the soil microbiome works, we've worked out that what's best is to actually completely cut it off at the roots and leave the whole root structure in your soil. Now you might think that that's going to cause other issues for any plants that you want to plant next to it or on top of. You're leaving this essentially woody structure in your soil that your plants then have to work around. But remember what I said before about microbes loving to feed off the starches that plant roots excrete? Well, when you're leaving plant roots in the soil, you're letting that microbiome continue. And all of the essentially highways that these microbes build, especially the fungus, that create an entire network across your whole garden, they all get to stay exactly in place when you leave those roots there. And then you just plant slightly beside it, and your new plants will actually do better compared to if you had completely dug out the previous plant. The other big benefit that this allows for is now when you're watering your garden, you actually have all these awesome channels and aqueducts along the roots that will help the water find its way down into those deep layers that we want our water to get to, like from the first point. Yes, this video is pretty well planned. Thank you for noticing. By the way, if you want to learn about everything that you could possibly need to know about soil microbes and the soil microbiome in under 8 minutes, check out this video that I made on soil microbes. It will genuinely transform you as a gardener. And also, I think it's my best video that I've ever made, and it did really poorly. The last one is one that I believed for so long. It's probably the first gardening myth that I heard because I was about 8 when I heard it. And I honestly believed it until only a couple years ago. And that's watering your plants during the daytime will burn them. And I think to a lot of us, this might make some intuitive sense, especially if you've done something like picked up a hot pan with a wet tea towel and you get burnt because it's wet and produces steam. Or maybe you think the little water droplets are acting like a lens that's going to intensify the sun's heat. But the reality is that just doesn't happen. The hotter the day gets, the quicker the water evaporates off, and it just never gets to the point to where it might be doing any sort of sun damage to your plant. But I think one of the reasons this myth is so popular is that if you're watering your plants during the middle of the hot day of the height of summer, they're probably already under some sort of heat or moisture stress anyway, and then you're watering them, and then you come out a couple hours later while they've still been in that same hot sun. They definitely haven't had enough time to actually absorb and use that water. And you'll notice that they're worse off, they're more droopy, maybe more dry, and you're going, oh, it's because I watered them during the day. But no, it doesn't hurt them at all. There are some other reasons that you might not want to water the plants during the middle of the day. The plants themselves can make better use of water when you've given it to them early in the morning or late at night, because they grow at night, but they actually like to use the water in the morning. That's more so optimizing your garden. It just doesn't really hurt them during the middle of the day. If it did, farmers would be encountering massive problems anytime there's a summer rainstorm. But you never hear about that, do you? Are there any other gardening myths or wives' tales or falsehoods that you have heard or see floating around that you have been dumbfounded by, or maybe were fooled by but then later found out? Anyway, thank you very much. Thank you to the patrons. Consider checking out Patreon if you really want to support the channel. If not, just leave a like or a comment. Thank you. I will see you next time.